Welcome, everybody, to the Growth Unleashed podcast, where we have conversations with founders, CEOs, leaders, partners of various different wellness and fitness businesses, with our emphasis on discussing various different growth strategies, those that have worked, those that haven't, and those that maybe we will live to see how they work out. Today's guest we have here is Josh Haag. Josh is the founder and CEO of Heroic Performance, a training business based in California. He's also lately ventured into a new realm of the business where he started a podcast called Live Vibrant Podcast, where he focuses more on sleep wellness and various different supplements and education and a book and so forth all around that. I don't want to steal his thunder though, so I'm going to turn it over to Josh and just say, welcome, Josh. Thank you for joining the Growth Unleashed podcast.
Glenn, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the intro. You hit the nail on the head, kind of. We do in-home training. Heroic Performance is in-home training. And then Vibrant is the new startup, and that's going to be like a health ecosystem, right? Sleep is a part of that. And I'm basically cultivating not only education, but supplementation to really help people spring forward if they don't have access to coaching and one-on-one training.
And that's great. Thanks for pointing me in the right direction. Definitely want to make sure we're painting the right picture for you.
Gotcha.
It's a lot bigger and broader than what I was actually pigeonholing into.
Okay. Yes, sir. But it's great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to have you today. Let's jump right into the beginning of the story. I know you have a pretty exciting background prior to your current business, played football in the NFL and some other things. So why don't you just tell me a little bit of the story of how you got into Heroic Performance and how you launched the business?
I moved out to Los Angeles in 2013. I was a chef at the time. I moved out here to be a sous chef at the Soho House, as well as the Stinking Rose out here. And through choices and whatnot, I shut that down. I decided not to do it and kind of stumbled into training, realistically. I know it had been like 2014 to 15, and I was a trainer at the time, just a couple clients working at a Velocity, actually, a sports performance facility. Through a series of events, I met the right people at the right time who all were like, hey, you should go try back out and try and play again. I was 23, 24 at the time, had graduated college. I went D3, I got hurt, and it was a whole thing that I didn't think I was going to play. Through a series of events and tryouts, I give a lot of credit to a man by the name of Lauren Landau. He's now with Notre Dame as their strength coach. He was like a mentor to me. He brought me up to their practice facility and their spring training. So I was up there with a couple other really big names. And that's how I kind of got my shot. I was what you call a cusp player. I never made active roster, active time, but I got looks and I bounced on and I bounced off and practice squad and off. And then it was this roundabout journey, but I made it from zero to us there. That's where Heroic Performance comes from. It was 3 years, 2 years up with Denver and then one to Detroit. I was smart enough to realize that I needed to create something more when I finished my journey. And man, I shadowed all their great coaches, therapists. I sat in the nutritionist meetings and I had all the certifications to be there. When I came back to Los Angeles, 2018 to 19, I was sitting on this idea, why can't the general populace have the level of care that elite athletes have? Why don't they work with a sports therapist, a nutritionist, your strength and conditioning coach, a sports psychologist? So I started to study and learn all different methodologies and pool all my resources to become that person for people. So Heroic Performance is like the brainchild of what I saw with Denver and with their resilience code was the name of the recovery center, coupled with what Coach Landau was doing. I took the best of everything and slammed it into our training protocol. And then I was like, well, why can't I deliver it to homes? The rest is history. COVID hit and we springboarded forward. Timing is everything. I know a lot of people had a really hard time through COVID, but it was very fortunate for us being an in-home coach. My clientele went through the roof. I started hiring like wildfire and everything took off.
That's amazing. So it sounds like COVID was really a springboard for you. So if it wasn't for COVID, were you always looking at more of a in-home type of program and type of business, or were you considering brick and mortar at some point?
I was definitely considering brick and mortar. It's always in the back of my ear chirping to this day. We talk about positives and negatives. I don't have massive overhead. I don't have rent, so to speak. But on the other hand, it's really hard for me to develop culture. It's really hard for me to develop a community. But then you argue, our clients who want one-on-one in-home training don't want to go to gyms. They don't want to talk to other people. They want to come home, work out, and be done. So it's this weird, different universe. So I've always thought about owning a gym. I still to this day, I'm like, yeah, I would do really well. I would love seeing my people and creating the energy. But in Los Angeles, gyms open and close so quickly. And you're paying how many thousands of dollars for 1,500 square foot, and you can barely keep the lights on. I'm fortunate enough to not have that problem, so I can funnel my profits into other business ventures. I can grow my own wealth because I've made those decisions, but it's not been easy.
Yeah. No, but you're right. The brick and mortar world is a whole different beast. A lot of risk. And like you said, a lot of overhead, a lot of capital expenditure. I'm curious, just logistically, how do you carry equipment around? How do you go train people in their homes?
My team and I carry everything we might need with us for training. In my car, I've got kettlebells, battle ropes, medicine balls of different variations, my training PT table that I pop out. I've got every elastic that you could possibly imagine. I've got slant boards. I've got everything except big machinery, right? And so the training that we do, because of my background, is very athletic prowess. And if you're really training athletes, a lot of it is functional movement. It is not, let's get on a Smith machine and squat. Some athletes, like at the big time, you need a barbell and you need a trap bar and things like that. But for most Gen Pop people, for you, for me, for people who are not trying to run the 40 and 4-2, you can get away with kettlebell swings versus a power clean. You can get away with 2 kettlebells in a front squat, front rack position versus a back squat barbell. And considering most of our clientele are 35 and up, there's an argument that they shouldn't be working with a barbell because they don't have the ranges and they don't have the proper mechanics to be there. My training style allows for our minimalist idea in material and vice versa. The minimalist idea in terms of transportation promotes our training style. Our injury rates are basically nothing. A lot of our clients love it because it's a very different way of what they ever thought training would look like. And it's very intuitive. I get a lot of how good people feel in terms of the way they're moving. You've been at this, how banged up you might get from a barbell work, or you're doing shoulder presses overhead real heavy and all of a sudden you're hurting that AC joint. We don't ever have that. So I know that was a bigger answer than you had asked for, but in terms of carting everything around, it allows us to have this really unique style of training.
Well, it's a bigger answer, but honestly, it bled into a bigger and interesting topic. I do agree. I think nowadays there's so many boutique and niche workout programs out there that really don't focus on injury prevention. They don't focus on strength development in elderly, strength development as we all age, the risk of injury. I love that your model almost forces you to be on top of all that and be cognizant of as you deliver the service to your clients. So tell me a little bit about that. What is your ideal client? You alluded to something about over 35, but who's your prime demographic?
We do have special populaces. And what I mean by that is youth athletes. We have a couple sports teams. We do have elderly. And I say elderly, it's over 65. It's just as a line, 65. But for the most part, we're 35 to 55, maybe 60, 35 to 55, men and women. We don't segregate. It's looking to reclaim their health, live pain-free, and find the best versions of themselves. And I know that's kind of cliche, but it's kind of a double meaning with live pain-free. I can't tell you how many people I meet and they have no idea that training shouldn't hurt every day. Yeah, you push through soreness. Yeah, you push through some aches. The overarching theme of training should not hurt you. Yeah. As when I say the best versions of themselves, a lot of people, when I sit down, I have a really in-depth interview. I rip somebody apart. And people forget how to dream. People forget how to push their body to a point where they never thought possible. So when I say the best version of yourself, yeah, it's a little like billboard sticker cliche, but I mean that in the terms of trying to unlock someone's true potential versus let's squat today, let's do some push-ups, let's go in. At 60, why aren't you running? We need to address why. You can't get down on the ground safely. That's for a 75. We have a 77-year-old woman who we've been working on that for like a year. I specialize in spines and shoulders. So I see a unique clientele on top of everything else. That's high-level physical therapy. And you see me when surgery and PT hasn't really worked. And you're looking for a shot in the dark. I work with a couple of regenerative medicine people and different doctors. This one woman, she's 77. She physically could not get up. She had multiple herniations and different damage to rotator cuff. Like, she was a wreck. Her best version of herself was getting up and down off the ground. If she got dizzy in the middle of an open room, can she lay down safely? And can she stand up safely? That's it. And for her, that's elite performance. For you, it might be going to play tennis 3 days a week. And for me, it's intramural softball. Great. that's the other side of things, is giving people the opportunity to have confidence in their body and push it. I love what I do. When you do what you do, it's the most amazing thing and gift I can give to people.
No, that's great. I mean, the enthusiasm and the energy and the passion certainly shows. And yeah, I mean, the one size fits all is just not the right recipe in this industry. So how do you set yourself apart? Trainers are to some degree a dime a dozen as far as just finding a trainer. They don't have to be a good, they're not all high quality trainers per se, but just I'm sure if I went on Southern Cal and just looked up personal trainers, there's probably 10,000 of them. So how do you differentiate yourself? How do you differentiate your business and your trainers as part of the business? What's set you apart?
That's a really great question. I'll answer it in two buckets. For the team, well, I'll actually argue, especially
How big is the team? How many folks do you have?
I actually downsized a little bit. We were up to 8 with 2 interns because I run an internship program. We've dropped down to 5 now, and I'm bringing on another. I kind of consolidated, especially with the fires that had happened. I realized I was spread a little thin, right? Trying to grow aggressively. So I downsized a little bit. And that's just my training staff. That's not including auxiliary in terms of socials, finance person, back of house bookkeeping. So like the training team is 5.
Gotcha.
And hiring has been the biggest problem. We have cycled through people. And the biggest issue is I'm looking for good people. And everyone looks at me. We were just talking about this at team meeting the other day. I'm looking for a family. I'm looking for people who will look out for one another, who will train one another, who will help one another, who genuinely love what we're doing. And I, as the business owner, made a huge mistake in the beginning because I love training new trainers. And I believe that I have an advanced level of knowledge when I'm looking at the body and I'm teaching. So I wanted to help these new trainers conquer the first 2 years much faster, make them that much better. What I realized is a lot of people underestimate this job. 81% of new coaches, new trainers quit within the first year. 51% of gyms close within the first 5. We see this huge turnover rate. And I think it's, especially when you look at that 81%, it's people who used to work at Google and they were doing marketing and they're 28 and it's like, oh, I hate this. I used to play soccer and I want to go be a coach now. Well, then they actually get into it.
Yeah.
And it's a huge burden on them. And it's a psychological drain, an emotional drain. And you're there for people when they don't want to be there. It's not like roses. It's not like we walk into a gym and people love working out. The people who love working out don't hire coaches, right? So what I realized is I need to hire a seasoned person and I need them to be passionate about what they're doing. You don't have to match my training style perfectly, but you just have to love this. I'm looking for good people, someone who is passionate, someone who is excited. In my interview, I'll talk to people about like, what was a client that you helped and tell me their story? Like I just told you, a 77-year-old woman lights me up. You can see if someone actually cares about this career. And it took me a long time to realize that. As for me, what sets me apart, I've taken the perspective of embedding myself in my people's lives. And it is an emotional roller coaster for me. When they succeed, I succeed. When they fail, I fail. I'm able to leverage against them, meaning I can really motivate and push somebody because I'm so intertwined. The problem is when you lose a client, when something goes wrong, it hurts that much more. I'm good at what I do. I'm proud of what I do. I believe I have an above average level of knowledge, but the clients don't care about that because I'm like their other son who's coming over to work out with them. What I do is hidden in the fact of, oh, Josh is here. Uncle Josh, great. And I'll play with the kids. And that's how I actually started during COVID. I'd pop in, I'd bring toys to the kids and I'd be walking the dog with the mom. And yeah, because that's what they needed. So I would say that's how I'm different. Being in home allows me to really integrate. You're walking into somebody's dojo. And if they've had a bad day at work, they've only got 20 minutes before Josh is there. You see the raw person a lot more versus someone who's carting themselves to a gym. You get that moment of a buffer to take a step back and put on your face that I'm seeing my trainer Glenn now. I don't need him to see what's going on. Or when I walk in, you could have just fought with your wife and I'm literally walking in downstairs. What are you doing? And it's like, you're moving through that a lot faster, which in turn deepens the relationship.
Yeah, sure. I would imagine that's the brand that you're bringing to your customer base. I mean, you're the face of Josh, the personalization that you're having when you walk in the door and try to get to know people on more of a deeper level, maybe. It sounds like the brand that really works well for you and keep people coming back. How do you maintain that level of perception of your organization? How do you maintain that with your other staff who You're out there, they're out there. I mean, I don't know how well if you to do team meetings earlier, but how do you inspire them to be driving the business that you want? How do you ensure that they're maintaining that level of quality and personalization, everything that you do as far as you're delivering your brand?
It has been brutally hard.
Go
What
ahead,
would you say?
sorry.
What'd you say?
I said it's a elongated question.
It has been brutally hard. That is one of the pitfalls of the business that we do. I check in with clients. I call them almost every quarter. I try and get into them once a quarter on top of my schedule. I'm so fortunate that now we have our new girl who would be the fifth. My two male trainers and the female that I have, she's the fourth, I'm the fifth. They've been with me for about 2.5 years, and they are some of the most amazing people that I've ever had the pleasure to work with. I have to work extra hard to find a really amazing person. When I do everything I can to hold on to them because they represent my brand. LA is so hard because your immediate question is, why wouldn't they go out on their own? What I find is a lot of coaches here are so burnt out from struggling. I do all the marketing, all the sales, chasing down leads, doing all the crap work. They get to just do their job, love doing it, and get paid well for it. If I can maintain that attitude and support them, and I have education bonuses and they get PTO and they get all sorts of other stuff, they stick around because it's worthwhile. Realistically, the short answer to your question is I've just got really lucky in the core that I have and have gone through many not so lucky people. That's all.
Yeah, unfortunately, luck can dry out at any moment in time. It's great that that's worked for you. You're the marketer, coach internally, coach and trainer for your clients. You're running the finances, building, hiring, recruiting, interviewing, and you're doing it in LA traffic. And when you're driving around to clients, how do you do it all? How do you manage all of that? It's hard enough if someone has a brick and mortar organization where they go to the same spot every day. How do you do all that yourself?
I realistically work all day, every day in the car. As bad as that is, anyone for California Highway Patrol better not be listening. I am on emails. I am on phone calls. I am texting. Remember, I'm not going 90 down the highway. I'm going 6 miles an hour as I'm puttering through traffic. So I'll sit there. My computer's open next to me if I need to be on a Zoom. I've gotten really good at multitasking. One of the biggest steps forward in my realm as the business owner is Wednesdays for me are admin and content days. A good podcast, or I sit here doing finances, emails, running projects, weekends. The other side of it is I have a great team, and some of my team I give projects to because training only gets you so far. There's ups and downs in terms of the industry. People go on vacation, people leave, people come. So in turn, pay fluctuates. Well, what happens on those hard times? I give projects. One of my girls is incredible at graphic design. She does my graphic design. I have someone else who helps me with clothing and branding. I'm able to achieve so much because I'm distributing workload amongst my people as best I can. But realistically, I work all the time and I'm in the car working. That's the short answer.
That's such a beautiful thing. To have staff that can, it's hard enough finding a good quality trainer for all the reasons you mentioned earlier, let alone those that also have these other attributes that can help you in the business. So that I'm sure is a huge help. So tell me, how are you marketing yourself in the business? What are you doing to get your name out there? How are you promoting what you all do?
Do you want the long answer or the short answer?
I have time.
I had a mentor who taught something called the marketing glove. What that means is you need multiple fingers to find success because not all of them will be successful at one time. Usually it's some form of direct content, some form of email content, some form of digital space, Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatnot, quality website, and then you can plug in the last one. Maybe it's active lead gen, like Thumbtack. Maybe it's joint ventures. Maybe it's community outreach. Maybe it's like sponsorship deals, like you're doing 5Ks and stuff. Well, basically, once you put all of them together, you're now trickling in leads from all sorts of different space. I have had an awful time with Facebook and Instagram ad spend. I have spent well over 6 figures. I have gone through 3 different marketing agencies that are like, yeah, we know what we're doing. 6 months down the line, a year down the line. Oops, sorry, we just wasted 50 grand. So I have had a really hard time with marketing. And the way we market is some of those active lead gen strategies like Thumbtack. I have just beat the drum. I am purchasing leads and I am calling and texting. And that's it. And then like sponsorship things, regenerative medicine, like joint ventures. So I'll get referrals from that. And then I also have a good referral strategy in terms of my clients are great at referring. So we've seen a lot of success from that. especially after the fires. That kind of leads into one of the reasons we downsized, because the industry, especially where we're in home, we're a little bit pricier in terms of our price point. The Palisades in that entire area is a big chunk of money in terms of this industry out here. So that hit us. So everything kind of got turned on its head for a hot minute. That's kind of the way I approach marketing.
Yeah, and the whole Facebook, Instagram ads, like you were talking about, that's such a hot topic in the gym world of whether it works, how long it might take for it to work if somebody is able to make it successful. How do you measure success in all these different areas, like whether it's Thumbtack or Meta? How are you personally, and again, I know you work in your office out of your car, but was it more anecdotal, just top of mind?
Never. Know your numbers, baby. Know your scoreboard. I'm working through the day in my car, but I come home and I'm on the computer for 2 hours. Wednesday, I'm doing my finances. I'm sitting there running through my scoreboards, and that is literally leads, conversions, all of it. And you can back build it from the amount I'm buying down to total converted. I'm looking at the percentages and comparing last year and what's my total spend that I'm doing. And I run it just like you would run any other business. Just because I have a brick and mortar doesn't change a thing. And anyone who tells you can grow a business without knowing your numbers is a fool. So I am on Excel, on my spreadsheets, running it. And I will give full credit to my back of house, my bookkeeper, who helps keep me honest as well. She's also helping with finance and projections and things like that as well. She's incredible.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah.
That's important. I totally agree with your numbers. And do you have a CRM system out of curiosity?
Yes, I actually use 2. I'm going to get rid of Go High Level. I use MailChimp specifically for email marketing. I had an absolutely abysmal issue. No one told me about cycling domains and things like that when I first started my email marketing. No one also told me, and this is a great note for anyone listening, if you do any sort of purchased leads and Thumbtack, those type of things count as a purchased lead. What no one tells you is Thumbtack owns the right to communicate to them, not you. So if you take those leads and put them into a CRM, it will flag every single one of those leads as spam. Like you don't even get a chance to win. So a lot of email marketing companies like MailChimp won't even accept those in your lead flow. Does that make sense? Yeah. I didn't know that in the beginning. So my CRM, I'm dumping them in. I had like a 7,500 person list. I'm cruising. I felt awesome. But my open rates was like 1%. And of that, I could barely get anyone to communicate with me. And I couldn't figure out why. So that's why. But I'm over Go High Level. I've kind of phased it out. I use Namely, and I highly recommend Namely for anyone looking for an inter-gym communication system. So really, really intuitive in terms of reaching out to your clients and being able to talk at a mass level. Namely, Namly. I use MailChimp for any sort of external marketing. I don't use Namely for anything external. And again, so the active lead gen stuff, when I pull in leads from that, I don't put them into any sort of CRM because I don't own the contact. So I just put them in my phone. If they don't contact me, you have to just delete the lead. It's mind blowing. And since I've done that, my email marketing has gone up tremendously. My domains have been refreshed and I've basically healed the problem. So it's kind of one of those things that I wish someone told me earlier.
There's so many intricacies and nuances in that space, and it's changing so rapidly. AI obviously is coming in, and it's getting harder to mass email folks. And when you succeed in doing so, for people to open it up and get the message across. So let's switch gears. Tell us a little bit for the viewers listening. We spent a lot of time talking about how you built up performance, but I know you're spending time on a new initiative with your own podcast. I short-sighted the description at the beginning. Let's hear you talk a little bit about what's up right now.
So the podcast is the Live Vibrant podcast, and it's a support to my new company, which is called Vibrant. And it's what I call a health ecosystem. I'm 13 years into this industry. I've been training. I've seen so many different types of clients. I was an elite athlete. Like, you look at my background, I have a good knowledge of the industry. And when I stepped back and thought about how to help more people, I started to realize training, the one-on-one training, or even small group, it's good for accountability. It's good to get people moving, but a lot of people need a different kind of support. Most need a little bit of education. Most need the proper supplementation, nutrition. And with that, that's kind of my flagship. That's where I'm jumping off. And then I have auxiliary coaching. So think of it like a triangle. You have supplementation, education, and coaching, online coaching as a part of it. And what I've done is gone after the lowest hanging fruit in terms of supplementation, and that's sleep. The sleep market is abysmal. No one has stepped forward as an expert. You have Huberman talking recovery, resiliency, nervous system. You have a lot of sleep doctors who people view as quacks that they don't really trust. And the guys talk super high level and don't truthfully dumb it down. People just want a solution. They want to fix their problem. Well, okay, how? And that's what I want to give people. Sleep is the first attitude of Vibrant. That's the first direction. I boiled it into 5 pillars that build off each other. The top is your lifestyle, then it's your habits, then it's your stress, then it's your internal imbalances, and then finally it's a single-sided mindset. Your lifestyle is usually the thing that's causing problems in your sleep, whatever that might be. From there, what habits are you doing that affect that lifestyle? What stress is in your life that is affecting the habits that affects your lifestyle? Then we look at internal imbalances, which a lot of people can't regulate themselves. This is a deficiency in X. How could I give somebody the perfect concoction of something to really make sure, like a multivitamin, that you're taking everything you possibly need to fall asleep properly at the end of the day? And then from there, it's a single-sided mindset, meaning a lot of people think that if I just stop looking at my phone, everything's going to fix. If I stop eating at night, that's it. But I can lay on my phone in bed. Everything's going to work out. And that's not right. You have to reinvent the wheel in terms of fixing sleep. And the reason we went after sleep is because I believe it's the lowest hanging fruit for the biggest tangible return. You'll balance your hormones. You'll get your hunger back. You're going to work out better. We talk sexual hormones, right? Men feeling more like a man, women regulating their hormone response better. We could break down the amount of positives to honing your sleep in versus I give you a different pre-workout versus I just give you a specific hormone balancing supplement. I found that this was the springboard forward to really drive home someone's health. What we did with the sleep supplement is if you look at the space, there are the minerals, zinc, magnesium, or ZMA, which is zinc, magnesium, B6, B12. Or you look at there's basic melatonin supplements. There might be adaptogen supplements. Why does no one combine them? So that's what I did. We have our first all-inclusive, holistic, and most importantly, non-habit forming sleep supplement. The goal is for you to take this like a multivitamin. Every night, you're giving yourself the exact things you need to shut down your brain, control your nervous system, downgrade your stress response, and get ready for performance. Because I'm a performance athlete, so I want to make sure you're ready to rock and roll come the morning. Plus, we're in publishing for one of my first, so I have 2 books that are publishing simultaneously. And that book, the sleep book, Sleep 101, A Coach's Guide to Empowering Optimal Recovery. And it is everything I could possibly give you if I had 130 pages, right, in fixing every problem. We go through assessments. We go through understanding sleep problems that you might have. We go through how to actually build a successful solution to fix it. And then there's a 12-week breakdown at the end of the book. You get the book free if you buy the supplement. So it's basically trying to be a puzzle piece. Like, people aren't supported. You have all these big companies trying to just make money off of people who are lost. I think about some of my best clients who are just abysmally lost in this sea of information. So I was like, okay, how can I be someone that people trust? How can I use all this incredible knowledge that I have to help a mass amount of people who maybe can't afford training? Why don't they get to sleep well too? And why don't they get to live their best life? Slowly over time, I'm building out the education in terms of locker rooms. So men and women, and they'll have sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress. That's where the podcast comes in. Now they can really go through and start to answer questions that they have about their body. Why am I doing cardio and not feeling my best? Why don't I see any results? Why aren't I feeling rested? Right? I do small PDFs, 8-page PDFs. It's literally a small book that you can read in 15 minutes and have the exact, here's what's wrong, here's how to fix it, implement it in your life. And you can start fixing problems versus just guessing and checking. So yeah, you could tell by my voice, I'm so excited for it. I think there's a real possibility to do something great for a lot of people.
That's outstanding. Sleep is such an important foundation that so many people undervalue. It seems like it's opening up a whole additional market for you, not just in the performance realm and the training realm, but in general. Nowadays, stress is at its all-time levels. I mean, stress and anxiety is just out of control. Sleep issues are a huge issue right now. I think that's amazing. Is the product out there now? Or
we're about 3 weeks out from product order. We've completed all our clinical trials. We've completed all of our R&D. And I'm waiting for the last piece of my labeling I've been tweaking some things because the supplement is dosed at 3 pills. For someone who doesn't want as much, I did like a 2 capsule, 3 capsule, 4 capsule, because big people might need a little bit more, right? I'm 6'6", 280 right now. So it's one of those things that I tweaked some things on the label. So once that's finalized, we're going to start printing and running, and I should be live. My hope is by end of September, maybe middle of October, because you figure it's an 8-week lead time. And then it'll be all hands on deck, getting it into people's hands and seeing if I can get some good feedback and make some change.
Well, you certainly seem very excited about it. So
Thank you.
How are you looking at this as an entirely separate and parallel initiative in business, or are you tying that into heroic performance in some regard?
Heroic performance isn't going anywhere. I love what I do. I will always help people, and I'm an elite at what I do, right? That's never going to stop. However, I believe a lot of the resources and control of this new company can be done virtually. I can do it, at least in the beginning, as an auxiliary. And let's face it, when Vibrant is well over $1 million in sales, I can then turn around and have the conversation with some clients of whether or not I need to downgrade the amount of time I'm training. But at the same vein, I love what I do. I'm never going to stop. There will be a handshake between the two, but I'm going to run them as separate entities and bring on people to help me run Vibrant.
There's tremendous opportunity on looking at the two businesses as partnerships, even if they are mutually exclusive. Run them.
Oh, they will definitely work together. Everything from going out to sponsorship events and things like that to, my clients will have access to the Vibrant stuff and training with us. Everyone will get sleep stuff. I will naturally integrate them, but I'll still run them independently of one another when we look at a bottom line.
All right. One more question for you, Josh, and then we can look forward to wrap here. If you could wave a magic wand and really hone in and improve one aspect of your business to drive change in the next 6 to 12 months, what would that look like?
I think it comes down to quality marketing for me. Looking at Heroic independently or the future of Vibrant, either one. I have a great strategy for Vibrant coming out on what we're going to do with a young lady who's helping me start to run it. However, when I look at Heroic, the biggest pitfall has been marketing, getting the word out, getting the name out, and consistently honing lead flow. I've gotten Facebook ads to get me people, but it's people that aren't even close. It's like walking onto a Mercedes dealership and you're looking to buy a Vespa and you've got $3,000 in your pocket. It's not even in the same ballpark of the type of services that I run. So I would say that the hardest thing for me has been marketing, quality lead flow. Sales is great. If I get on the phone with somebody and I think I can help them, they're pretty much going to work with us. But the hard part is that in between of finding the lead and getting them to communicate with me. It's gotten even worse because so much spam is out there now that I think potential leads are even more hesitant to pick up the phone. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
That's always the big challenge. Our space is loaded with intricacies around that. Well, awesome, Josh. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate all your coverage and conversation, learning a lot about heroic performance and the roots of how you built that amazing business. I love what you're doing out there in LA and growing it. Where you're pivoting now with this new venture on the side with Live Vibrant. Sounds like an exciting opportunity, very high demand space. So wish you the best of luck for within both of those. For the viewer's sake, if they have any interest in learning more about either one of them, how can they get in touch?
For Heroic, we have Instagram, Heroic Performance, website as well, heroicperformance.net. And then for Vibrant, we haven't built the socials yet. I would follow my personal, the Josh Haag, Haag is my last name. And then the website is livevibrant.com. The podcast as well is Live Vibrant, and you'll get to hear my beautiful voice. Beyond that, if you have any questions or want to reach out, josh@heroicperformance.net is my email.
Well, I look forward to checking out the podcast myself, Josh.
Thank you
very much again. Really appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to catching up soon. Thanks so much.
This is fantastic. Thank you for having me.